This is Keith Helwig from Cops Corrections Videos. If you like my videos, please hit the red subscribe button. I'm going to take a little different tack today and talk about inmates and what inmates can do to make their time better. There's several tips, things that I may have learned over my 36 years of working in corrections before I retired as a captain. First bit of advice I would give to any inmate is to do your own time. It's nobody's business why you're in prison. It's nobody's business what you've done. It's really nobody's business about your family. Those people who need to know already do know. Don't ask other people why they're there. Don't expect other people to be forthcoming with information about why they're there. And you don't need to tell anybody why you're in prison. Do your own time. Another important thing that I want to remind people is don't lend anything out. If you're in prison, the stuff you have is your stuff. Don't lend it out to people. Don't borrow it out to people. For one thing, you're probably going to get in trouble if staff find out about it, which you don't need. And for another thing, you can pretty much count on probably 1 out of every 3 times you lend somebody something, you're not going to get it back. Also, don't borrow anything. No matter how much you're jonesing for that honey bun, no matter how much you're shaking for those ramen noodles, don't borrow them. You borrow that honey bun from somebody because you need a honey bun, they're going to expect you to pay them back 2 or 3 honey buns. So, comes canteen time and you decide you can't pay them back their honey buns, they're going to get their payment. And maybe that payment is going to be taking your honey bun, if you know what I mean. You don't need that. Don't borrow from anybody. Don't borrow to anybody. A big thing I want to say too is that respect is a two-way street. When you're dealing with officers, you can't automatically expect them to respect you, just as they can't automatically expect respect from you. Respect is something which is earned on both sides. It's earned by officers, it's earned by inmates. Now, I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember the old Leave It to Beaver show, but there was a character on Leave It to Beaver named Eddie Haskell. Now, Eddie Haskell was the most royal ass kisser imaginable. If you ever get a chance to watch, you'll see what I'm talking about. Don't be an Eddie Haskell. You don't have to kiss ass to staff. You don't have to suck up to staff. If you do, the perception by staff is that you're going to be doing something to try to manipulate them. The perception by other inmates is that perhaps you're snitching. Now, on the subject of snitching, a lot of staff aren't going to like me telling you this. Don't be a snitch. If somebody steals something from you and it's minor, don't put yourself out there and be a snitch on the whole thing. Try to take care of it as peacefully as you can. Now, on the same hand, if you're in physical danger, or if you know of an incident where somebody's in physical danger, don't hesitate to drop an anonymous kite. I know I used to be an investigating lieutenant, and I'd get a lot of people that would snitch to me. And sometimes it was things that were worthwhile. I recall an incident where it would have resulted in the death of at least one officer had the inmate not came up and gave me the information. If it's information which is going to prevent somebody from being harmed or somebody being killed, drop an anonymous kite. Let somebody know about it. As correctional officers, we don't want to see anybody get hurt. We don't want to see inmates get hurt. We don't want to see staff get hurt. So while I'm telling you don't snitch, use common sense. And if it's going to involve danger to yourself or danger to others, perhaps it behooves you to tell somebody else about it. When you come to prison, there is an us versus them attitude. Officers versus inmates. As an inmate, don't be hostile to officers. Officers are there doing a job. Some of them do a good job. The majority of them do a good job. Some of them, to put it bluntly, are piss poor officers. I know it, and they know it. By being respectful and pleasant officers, it doesn't mean you have to kiss their ass. But just remember, those officers can make your life miserable. As again, it's back to the old respect. The officer is there to do a job. It's not their job to mess with inmates. I always told the officers that worked under me when I was a captain that inmates are in prison as punishment. They're not in prison for punishment. It wasn't my job as a captain to make sure that they got the punishment they deserved, whatever that may be. They already received the punishment they deserved by being put in prison. As an inmate, you may not like officers. Officers may not like you. The fact of the matter is, you do have to coexist. You're going to be a part of each other's daily lives. In order to do that, you need to respect each other for what you are. You need to respect each other as human beings. You may not like that officer may not like you. But if you do in turn respect each other, that may make the coexistence you have with each other a little bit better. It may make your time a little easier. It may make their time a little easier. With that, stay safe, and until next time, watch your back.